wonderful to spend some time with you guys and, you know, give me a bit of my small experience. So hopefully the audience is going to enjoy this lecture. First of all, I would like to start by saying that the reasons why is it that we actually around the globe, so many people, they love to learn English. We know that, you know, when you choose to invest your time and energy into learning a second language, you know, which is English now for you guys, deciding which language you choose is undoubtedly extremely important, right? So the question is, why do we really learn English as a second language, right? So, I mean, today we know that over 50% of the world's population, we're talking about 1.5 billion, are learning English, right? 1.5 billion, that's a huge number. We live, of course, in a global community, and, you know, it's bringing us closer every day with technology and, you know, the communication technology that is improving. So being able to speak English as well as your mother tongue is absolutely skillful, is absolutely important. So being able to speak a second language as well as your mother tongue is a great skill that can open many doors in your personal and professional life. So, of course, English is the worst second language, perhaps you would know it. Well, while there are so many languages that, you know, are spoken by large numbers of people, such as Mandarin, you know, the language in China. So we have Spanish. I mean, we have more Spanish speakers than English speakers by numbers, by heads, and even Arabic. But the reality here is that the most widely used second language is actually English, right? With a total number of 1.4 billion native and non-native speakers, which means that 1 in every 5 person on the planet Earth, as we speak, are speaking in English. That's about 20% of the world's population that can communicate in English. It's not okay. It's not only the large number of people that is also important, but also the fact that you can find people who speak English in every part of the world, from, let's say, Americas, Asia, Africa, and Europe. And a great deal of communication today is English, right? Isn't it? Is in English. And it's kind of held between people who are not native speakers with those who are actually native speakers as well. So English is the common link between us as human beings, isn't it? So English is the language of science, aviation, isn't it? Computers, diplomacy, tourism. So knowing English increases your chances of getting a good job in a multinational, let's say, companies, maybe within your home country or maybe abroad. It's also the language of international communication, the media, the internet. So English is absolutely vital for your socializing, for entertainment, as well as your professional life. Well, when we start to learn English, it can be a challenge. We know it, right? The question is, how can I learn English as fast as possible? Well, I wish that answer was simple, but I can tell you it's not that hard either. So there are some great ways for you guys to improve your language skills, right? But what is it that should be considered prior to the process of learning the language? What is it we need, first of all? You need good memory. If there is no memory, it's like a computer with no memory. So forget about the rest, right? So if we have a problem with the memory, then we have to enhance our capacity. Now, there are different techniques we're going to go through it this evening. So the process of memory, then, what is the memory? Well, the memory means data, but data or information needs to be registered. Then it needs to be retained, it needs to be recalled or remembered. So these 3 areas here, registration, retention, and recall, are what we refer to them as the process of memory. Without any of these 3, we're not going to go that far. Translate registration as your learning process, retention as practicing what you learned, recall is when you need to remember and utilize them. So if you don't remember them, of course, you're not going to, utilize them in the first place. So it goes back to the first one. What is registration? Well, look, the first stage of memory registration, right, is the beginning of process memory. If there is no registration, there is no memory. So registration is the stage where you learn something, or maybe simply try to register some data in your brain with an intention to remember that later on, okay, to recall it, which is the 3rd stage. So this stage of registration is so crucial that if the quality of registration is good enough, the other 2 stages, which is retention and recall, will just fall into place quite easily. So it's very crucial to think about the quality of registration, the quality of learning in the first place. So many learners, many English language learners, they resort to inadequate methods of registration. So as a result, they suffer problems in the retention stage and recall stage. So learning quality, the quality of your learning, right, does matter. It's extremely important. It plays a tremendously pivotal role in your overall success. So it is estimated about 95% of all our memory problems are problems of registration, which is directly related to your learning quality. So if your learning quality is not good, then the rest would fall apart. So in order to tone up your memory capacity, to add to the capacity and, the size of your learning, you need to learn effective registration techniques. There are techniques we have to know. You wouldn't learn by just sitting in one classroom, guys. You wouldn't get your teeth fixed by just sitting in your dentist office. You've got to open your mouth. The dentist has to inject. There is a pain, but there is a good gain. So just sitting in a class, that's not what we're talking about registration. But learning with good quality, we'll go through it a bit later on. But what is retention? Well, retention is a stage of memory, the process of it, but means the capacity to keep the information you already learned. So as already discussed, retention would be an automatic process provided the registration is perfect. So if the registration, guys, is of poor quality, if something you learned is very poor, you had a bad teacher, the books were not really good, or you were not really learning for whatever reason, then your retention is going to be poor. So you're not going to be able to speak English at all or understand it, right? It goes kind of like becomes very stuttering, becomes a painful process. So a good registration leads to a good retention with a good technique that again, later on, we're going to talk about it. The recall is where I think most people have problems. You see, you read newspapers, you go like, well, I know this vocabularies. You listen to people, you can guess what they say. But when they say talk, then you're in trouble. So speaking becomes a nightmare. You go like, yesterday, you go like, oh my God, it's a lot of o, and it's not even a vocabulary. That's because brain is suffering downloading the information. What is it? Is it something to do with your age? Is it something to do with your nationality? No, it's not. It's something to do with practice, practice, practice. Practice what? Practice something that you learned. What did I learn? A good quality material. I mean, how important are these three is absolutely phenomenal. Right. So, hey, I mean, all right. So I know about the memory. So thank you, Stephen. So I know that I need to learn, practice, and remember. But wait a minute, what do I need to learn? I mean, I'm not going to say, next customer, please, what's your name? These are very simple, basic English. We're going to get into the core of it, right? This is like engineering. Think about it, all right? But engineering needs mathematics, common sense, right? Equations. So the question is, what are the principal language skills? What do I need? Well, I tell you what, 5 areas at least have been identified as the principal language skills. And that's true. It is true. You need a good grammar or syntax. You need reading, writing, listening, and then speaking. All right. Well, in grammar, there's so many things to learn, but guys, I tell you what, focus on 2 areas. I divided them into main areas and secondary areas, right? Look, you need tenses, you need conditional sentences, direct and indirect speeches, passive and active voices, right? Is that enough? Absolutely not. These are the 4 legs of your table. Tenses, 1, 2 conditional sentences, 3rd, direct and indirect speech, and then passive active. Now you start building your table. Table needs food. Food can be served in dishes. So what do I need? Well, you go to secondary areas. What else do you need? Well, you need direct and indirect objects to understand what they are. How do we use it? We're talking about grammar. Adjectives to express yourself, to express your nouns better. Adverbs to express how things happen, when did it happen, and so on and so forth. And also, you need to learn idioms and expressions. Right. So, what to do with the grammar? Guys, you need surely grammar books, all right? You're not going to learn grammar by just walking around in Temple Bar or Dublin City Center, wherever that may be, right? You might, but it's going to take you like 200 years. So we need grammar books just to pave the direction. All right. Taking classes, yes, absolutely. Now, you could say, could I self-teach myself. You could, but the problem is only God knows how many mistakes you're making and who is there to correct you, all right? It's possible, but it's not recommended. So basically your step one toward gaining or learning everything I mentioned earlier on is you need tools such as grammar books and tech classes to get you on the asphalt road so you can drive further away and towards your horizon. What is the next step? All right, I got my books, a couple of books, or I'm taking classes, that's fine. You need to study authentic text, guys. You need to read a lot of newspapers, magazines, right? And then you've got to pay attention to the structure of the text, okay? So when you read newspapers, newspapers are great because so many pages, so many different topics, so many different writers. An editor definitely has checked them all out. So they're checked, all right. So it's very important. The more you read, the more you understand the skeleton, the structure of grammar. You see grammar in practice, in real. For authentic, what is authentic text? Text written for native speakers, not for foreigners. Or when you buy grammar books, when you buy books to learn English, that's academic. So you have to bridge between them, between these two areas, like two oceans. Only grammar ain't enough. Authentic text could be too heavy, both of them put together. If you're not doing it, please start doing it. Do all the thing, exercises in the grammar books, you're taking classes, no matter what you do, you've got to study authentic. This is your highest quality. You want to read newspapers, you want to read magazines, you want to understand lectures without having any problems. This is authentic text, not only academic ones. All right, then what else could I do? Well, make sentences of your own. Whatever sentences you learn in the newspapers and you can relate it to the grammar rules that you studied in your grammar book, you know what? Put it into use, immediately utilize. You don't utilize, what good is that grammar rule? It does nothing. It makes you hate the language, right? You will resent it. And you know what? When you start making sentences, you are going to make mistakes. I mean, why is it you're learning? Because you don't know it. So if you don't know it and you try it, sure, you're going to make a mistake. And it's good. When you make mistakes, it means you're trying. So please make many mistakes, but try not to repeat that mistake many times. Master them. So apply newly learned rules the very next day. Don't wait for next week. You learn something today, you go like, wow, I like that, reverse grammar, or I like the conditional sentence, I like the direct speech, whatever it is, immediately put it into use the next day. Do not delay. What about reading? How could I get my reading up and running? Well, you should read books in English and articles on the web, right? And don't be too choosy. What I mean too choosy, don't be specifically looking for a very special title or the size of it. Just read whatever comes your way. Of course, read newspapers and magazines, right? All right, so, but you might say, when I read, there is nobody to tell me what this vocabulary mean, or I don't know if I can actually read it out because nobody is checking my reading skills. Well, the more you read newspapers, the more your eye sees them, the more you're going to hear them because you'll be surrounded by people who read newspapers. The people that actually, they watch online programs. And when you hear them, your brain will match them up automatically, trust me. So that leads you actually to step 2 of how enhancing your reading. Watch online documentary. You have no idea how important it is. In my classes, there is not one single class where I don't introduce my people or expose them to a short documentary subtitle. It's gorgeous because you see the images, the voice, the sound is, the narration is in English and it's subtitled in English. Perfect. You don't have any time even to translate it into Spanish or in Italian. So this is like learning English, just like, let's say, a native speaker, right? So watch many documentaries, different subjects, right? Subtitle them, absolutely. And make sure you read along, all right? Watch news. Again, if you could subtitle them in English. In fact, many news, they have actually breaking news at the bottom of the screen of your TV. You can see it. Follow that. Read at the same time. Of course, you're not going to be reading that fast, but you're trying. And someday soon, you're going to do it, all right? This is how champions are made. You follow the 5-star speed, 5-star quality. Not, I am a student, I am here for 20 years. No, none of that. That's just too late, right? So what to do next? Step 3, All right, watch online short stories, guys. There are, I'm not exaggerating, billions of short stories available online, and they're all fabulous. Short stories in English, even for children. Who cares? The vocabulary should be small, should be very, sentence has to be short, our vocabulary has to be very simple. So you can start from kind of basic level and slowly you go to advanced level. A lot of these stories, they actually say it actually on the top. It says it on the top that in fact, these are like, you know, advanced level, intermediate level, whatever level you like, right? But what you do is, as you see the pages of the short stories being read by the narrator, it's subtitled. So you read with the narrator as if you are the person who's telling the story. What the words mean, don't even think about it. Don't even think about what the words mean. Just keep reading. This is about the reading practice, not about vocabulary, remember? All right, what to do? When you finish the story, the short story is about usually 5 minutes, 6 minutes, right? Then mute the speaker, watch it again, subtitle. Now you read and record your voice. Okay, it's simple, but not many people do. They go like, oh, this is great, I'm gonna do it, but they never do it. But if you do it, then you feel the usefulness of it. So record your voice, listen to yourself, and probably go like, oh my God, why do I sound so terrible? You don't sound terrible. It's just when you listen to yourself, you hear yourself mono. But to yourself, all right, when you listen to your own voice played on a speaker, you're using your left and right ears. So you're listening to your voice in the stereo, and that's exactly how people hear you. So you can actually adjust your voice and you can get used to your voice. And then the next thing is, how closely are you reading to the original narrator, the person who's telling the story? And you get closer, you get closer. It might take a year, but 1 year hard practice covers the rest of your life. Otherwise, 3 hours a week, 1 hour a week, or maybe 1 hour a month, and then you would never progress. So this sort of training is perfect for a short period of time. You know, like we're talking about 9 months, 1 academic year, and then you're ready to go. Next one. Every day, I'm sure, guys, you're learning many vocabularies when you go through this reading practice and everything we did, right? Pick 3 vocabularies. We call it the rule of 3, basically. Literally means 3 vocabulary you pick and you have to use every single of them in the next 24 hours, okay? So you use 3 vocabularies and you promise yourself that within the next 24 hours, you're going to use them, right? What about writing? Well, write down those words you learned, all right, or expression that you think useful and interesting, right? In a newspaper, subtitled stories, online programs, whatever you like. Just write down the words and expressions you like and you think, I think I can use it. I love what it says. Then use them to write comments in English blogs. There are so many blogs online. Whatever you like. Horticulture, gardening, right? Or maybe animal welfare, whatever you like. Go to those pages, write comments by using those stuff. They will tell you, my God, their English is fantastic. Yes, you're stealing from somebody, but it's a good stealing. You're stealing great vocabularies and phrases. And you would never forget when you do it. That moment stays with you for a long time. So this is much better than making sentences in your classes. This is for real. So you use the words, you write them down, and you say to yourself, I'm going to use it in comments, and do that. What is the next step? Well, follow verified Facebook science, technology, and art groups. Guys, there are so many beautiful groups on Facebook, right? So many. Pick the ones that are really more genuine than the rest, right? Be curious about comments. Go through the comments, because usually those who leave comments on pages that relates to technology, science, or, whatever, they kind of tend to be using properly, the vocabularies properly, and also terminologies. So you learn a lot from others' comments. So then be brave. Leave your own comments by using phrases you have previously come across, right? You've come across with a lot of vocabularies before in a blogs, or somebody else had written something somewhere else. Yes, steal it, copy and paste, write it there. As long as it's not a quote, you can do that. And you know what? It stays with you. It's like a good memory. You never forget this moment if you do it. How many pages on Facebook? Numberless. So there's no excuse to say, I don't know what to do. Study writing examples, guys, available online on the internet. You could go to search engine Google, just say writing samples for technology, writing art or articles written for whatever you like. Search engine is fabulous and it's for free. Go to academic writings. It might just bore you a little, but then you will get used to it. All right. Go to composition samples. Read a lot of samples and examples so you will see how we phrase them. Study academic and parliamentary writings online. Observe the layout, you know, how many paragraphs, how they started the paragraph, punctuations. This is like a great tour of writing online. Observe the layout, number of paragraphs, and structure of the sentences. Right. What about listening? I mean, guys, do you really improve your listening by listening? I mean, then if somebody puts you in Beijing, in China, right, and say, I want you to listen to these people walking on the street speaking in Chinese. And after 1 year, I think your listening is going to be fantastic. Do you think that's going to happen? I would say no. Perhaps you learn a couple of few words like, hi, good morning, good night. After 1 year of sitting in the city center, Beijing, oh my God. So we don't have that time. So there are rules, there are ways of enhancing your listening. By how? First of all, listen to music. Now, music, we're talking about English, okay? Not about non-English music, right? Movies, English movies, right? Plays, theaters, go there, right? Don't be so fussy about what it is, because movies will show you more or less about, you know, with pictures, you understand what the story is all about. Plays as well. Music, you might have a little problem. But this is for one reason, because later on I'll tell you why we are doing this. Next step, guys, you go to podcast, YouTube, TED Talks. I love them. I do a couple of talks there as well with TED Talks, and we have King Talks as well at the King's Institute. Radio programs, documentaries on variety of projects, just listen to them. To be listening, guys, means you have to shut your brain down completely. You can be thinking in Spanish about your shopping, supermarket, seeing your friend, wells, it's plain. Here, you have to pay attention, even if you don't understand fully, all right? You just keep listening attentively, stay in the present time. Step 3 of your listening is take sample listening exam tests available on the internet, whatever level you like. Cambridge University has, like, you know, FCE, CAE, CPE, and then we have IELTS. We have actually lower exams, you know, lower level exams. Test your English online, your listening, after having practiced, after maybe 2 or 3 months of doing all this YouTube talks and everything else I mentioned. Then monitor your progress. Do not expect yourself, guys, to kind of like progress overnight. This is kind of time-consuming process. And speaking, the hardest part, isn't it? Of all skills of learning, you got 2 major ones that usually gives you a headache, but you love them, but you don't like to do them. One is writing, and the other one is speaking. Do you know why? Because you have to produce, you have to make. Listening, you're not doing anything, you're just listening, you're guessing, isn't it? Reading, maybe you're looking at the photographs, or you're just reading without actually making it out or saying it out. So the most difficult one that happens to be is speaking. But you know how speaking happens? I recommend you, because psychologically it's been proven, I've tested it for so many years. You've got to speak to yourself, within yourself, in English. At the moment, I think, guys, when you go quiet, you start speaking to yourself in Spanish. And that's true, and that's the normal way. But if you like to gain confidence, start speaking to yourself in English. For example, ask yourself, what did I do today? Then you start telling yourself, well, I woke up this morning around 6 o'clock. Then I heard the sound of a bird coming from outside. I closed the window. Then I made. So you force yourself to speak simple English, but you started. So talk to yourself, speak to yourself in English. Join voice chats then. This is parallel to this. Voice chats, because you hear them talk, you could say, yes, I agree, no, I don't agree, or I disagree, but you could actually gain confidence here as well. This is to prepare you to speak better. What else to do? As you speak to yourself, then start recording yourself. No more talking to yourself alone, but you record yourself. Everybody has a recording device. That's your mobile phone. Just say, hi, it's me again. Well, yeah, I woke up this morning. I went to the school. I got it. Whatever you did, just record it for about a couple of minutes. Then listen back to yourself and say,
I made a mistake here. Why did I say this? I should have said something different. Go back, record yourself. It's all about 1 minute and 1 minute of recording, not 5 minutes or 10 minutes of speaking. So they are actually very small, but extremely effective. What else you need? Guys, you know, we all try to sing a song just like our favorite singer, no matter if you have a talent in singing or not, isn't it? Sometimes we try to mimic our professors because we like the way they present something, right? Or maybe we like our parents or best friends. In English, in order to get your speaking up, right, and just bring it to the higher level, you've got to mimic or imitate your favorite native speaker, whoever that person be. But of course, if they're educated, better. If they're, public speakers, the best, because they think about the words before they say it, rather than say the words and then think about it. So try to find a pattern here, right? In fact, it's kind of like a role model for your speaking. Could be a news teller, could be your next door Irish friend or English friend, whoever. So try to mimic like them, imitate them. Trust me, you need it. Even if it comes across as if you're joking, all right? But this is a very good technique. Talk to your friends then. And guys, please stop saying, because most of my students, when they start with me, they say, yeah, but you know, Stephen, I live with 5 other Spanish. And when I speak to them in English, they look at me, they go like, are you crazy? And I'm like, no, you turn around and tell them if they are crazy, because you guys came to Dublin to practice your English, not your Spanish. If you speak Spanish, okay, in Ireland, when you return to Spain, I think you're going to have problems because you're going to speak broken Spanish. That's the truth. If you stayed here for a long time speaking in broken English and then Spanish, that broken English is going to mess your Spanish. And I'm sure after 2-3 years, when you go back to Spain, your family might say, your Spanish is very funny. You're speaking with Irish accent. So my recommendation here is, if you're in Ireland, to learn English, please speak in English, even if that means to speak with your partner. So talk to your friends and colleagues in English at all time. You have to. Stop saying they don't do it, you do it. You be the leader. Don't wait for something else. You are the person who can do it. Join debate groups and speak and exchange ideas. Colleges are closed at the moment as a result of the COVID-19, But as the lockdown regulations and, are becoming somewhat kind of lighter, so hopefully in near future, guys, you'll be able to join a lot of, gatherings. We have it at the King's Institute. We have it at Trinity College. Open chats, open talks, you need them. And you have to join and say a few words to gain confidence. But until then, utilize the same 3 words you used for grammar, for writing, you're going to use it for speaking. Use those 3 against your friend. Your friend from Spain might say, what do you mean by that word? Now you have to teach them that word. Once you become a teacher, you learn it better than the student. There is no way for you to say, I don't think this is going to work, because it always works. Right. How many hours should I spend on learning the language? 100 hours a day? No, you don't have 100 hours a day, because only 24 hours a day. And the reality is, it's never about, guys, the number of hours, but more so about the quality of the hours. That is the truth. It's like sleeping. They tell you need to sleep 9 hours. Absolutely wrong. Absolutely wrong. It's not about how many hours you sleep. I'm sure it has happened to you guys. Sometimes you sleep for 12 hours, you wake up and still you feel tired. You're tired of sleeping so many hours because the quality of those hours were not so good. But sometimes you lay down, you say, yesterday I lay down for about 5 hours. I woke up this morning thinking I'm going to be exhausted. I wasn't. I felt great. You didn't have any nightmares. Your stomach was kind of like light. And so you felt fantastic. So isn't it all about the quality rather than quantity? Numbers are not really important. I'm not saying sleep only 1 hour, but I'm saying 5 hours of quality sleep can never, you can't beat it with 10 hours of low quality. So in learning, It's not about how many hours. The more hours doesn't guarantee anything. You could actually get exhausted and start hating this language, right? But more so about the quality of hours. What does it mean? Do not push yourself. Never force yourself to learn when you're not up for it. But I'm not saying every day, saying, okay, I'm going to sit down and learn English. But, oh, yeah, I need my cortado. I need my coffee, right? It's like, no, no, no. You have to put a stop to it eventually. But sometimes you're exhausted because you've been doing 2 shifts, double shift, or maybe you're angry. Maybe psychologically you're not up for it. When it is the case, okay, when the reason is genuine, please do not study. Don't, because it causes you more harm than good. So let's say, so it's not about number of hours. No, it's not. It's about quality. But that quality is guaranteed when you're consistency. Okay, you have consistency. Okay, so we have 4 areas here that you need to think. You need them all. You need consistency, right? You have to be consistent. You can't learn for 1 hour today and live it for another month. So there has to be a pattern of learning, more or less. Now, in between, you can give you a little break. For example, you've been studying for 2 hours every day and you feel so tired, you're not up for it today, cancel it. It's fine. Yeah, so give you a little, but consistency means pick it up wherever you left off. Don't forget about it. Be diligent. So you need diligence. Be very focused about your target. Never forget why you started learning English. You need that. You need perseverance and you need valor. What is valor? I'm afraid of learning. I'm afraid of facing problems. English is so hard. I tell you what, the most difficult thing in that regard, then if you think English is hard, is breathing. How many times do you breathe? Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out, and your heart is pumping, boom, boom, boom. Oh my God, it's so tiring. So we're gonna die because we're tired. No, it's not. When we say we need valor, means be brave because you know it's gonna be hard to get to the destination. But your will to learn English is way stronger than the difficulties that it's gonna be on your way to get to your final destination. So be brave, have perseverance, be diligent, and be consistent at all times. Don't compromise, guys, when it comes to learning, right? You're not compromising? Yeah, I don't think learning is for me. Not English, just happy. And when you go back home, somebody says, what did you learn? You were in Ireland, you were in England or America for a couple of years. Yeah, next customer. No, that is not. We cannot say that, right? We need to say way more than that. So do not compromise. If you compromise when it comes to learning, guys, then you're compromising your life. You will never progress. Do not procrastinate. Procrastination is, I do it later, I do it tomorrow, maybe next week, maybe next year. So do not delay when there is no genuine reason. Because as we say, yesterday you said tomorrow, which means now is tomorrow and still not ready. So constantly and by all means, guys, expose yourself to the main problem. I promise you, if you're surrounded by Spanish speakers, guys, if you're hanging out only with friends who speak Spanish, if you're living with people in Ireland who are Spanish, I tell you what, then you have brought Spain to Ireland. I love Spain, absolutely. But in terms of learning the language, you haven't changed anything. The only thing that looks Ireland is when you go to supermarket, and perhaps you will see, some Spanish nationals working in supermarket as well. And you start speaking in Spanish with them. So then you're not exposing yourself to the language. It's like going to the seaside to get suntanned, but you're wearing a winter jacket with hats, with gloves. It's like you're crazy. Then you're not going to get suntanned. You're going to look, as white as us. In Ireland, we look like ghosts, right? So expose yourself. No excuses. Look, I tell you something, you might say, I'm crazy, right? If it means that you should forget about your friends in Ireland, do that. Because in the future, you're going to be the friend who knows the language and you can help your friends who never learned. Because I don't think somebody comes from another country to live in Ireland to practice English, but then does everything but learning English. So you shield yourself with friends. You shield your friends with homemates. Class, everybody's a Spanish, then hey, where is your English? So please expose yourself. How? Already we talked about it. Online business, right? writing in blogs, Facebook pages, go somewhere that English people are talking, English native speakers, I mean, right? Newspapers, magazines, look, articles online, TED Talks, documentaries on different subjects, about science discussion, maybe arts debates, TV programs. And I tell you, you're going to be fantastic. Just do it for a while. Don't expect anything too fast, too quickly, right? There is no shortcut. But when you are watching TV, even for 5 minutes, and you're listening, is far better than watching the TV for 10 hours with the Spanish people talking in the background. So it goes back to what I said, the quality of the hours and consistency. Expose yourself. I promise you, the last question you're going to ask yourself is that why I don't speak English, because you will be speaking English fluently. Oh, but Stephen, how can I get myself motivated? Every day is like, oh my God, look at the sky. It's raining. I'm not going to learn English. Next day, it's too sunny. It's Ireland. I mean, I want to go to the seaside. I mean, oh my God, what about tomorrow? Yeah, I don't know. Tomorrow is tomorrow. What day is it tomorrow? Oh, well, it's Friday. Yeah, Fridays. I don't like to learn anything on Fridays. What about Saturdays or this weekend? So do we ever learn? We need to motivate ourselves. How? Well, first of all, look, I think it's going through your heads probably, guys. I keep losing interest when it comes to learning. Like, I'm ready for everything. Let's go for Rioja. I love Rioja. I don't drink, but I think it looks fantastic and smells is gorgeous. I don't drink alcohol. But you know what? I have so many bottles of Rioja at home, thanks to my students, you know? And somebody says, can we drink it? And like, no, you don't, because this is the history. I remember my friends who gave it to me, right? So I don't drink, but it's wonderful. But what I mean is, like, we as humans are up for fun, but we just never feel like learning can be fun as well. We think about learning as like, oh no, I'm losing my interest. I don't want to do it now. Or my learning progression is way too slow. And I'm saying to my students, hey, were you born with Spanish language or did you learn it? They say, no, of course I learned Spanish over some, 5 years? No, 5 years was daddy, mommy, daddy, isn't it? Or hola and que pasa, probably, right? So it takes time, but of course, you might say, but I don't have 10 years to stay in Ireland. No, you don't. That's why it goes to previous pages. Do all those things consistency, right? With consistency and constantly, and you will get to the result. You don't need to stay here for 10 or 20 years, but you have to do it. But don't expect that you learn Spanish in about 5 years, 10 years. So English would be what? 2 days, 3 days, 6 months? We don't know. The more you put good quality hours in your learning, you get to the destination faster. Trust me. So another one, I really want to learn, but keep delaying it. Yeah, I know, because motivation sucks because it's going down the hill, right? Or I keep thinking maybe learning English is just not for me. Oh, really? Then why did you start it in the first place? So actually, you can do it. So whenever you started thinking about quitting or delaying, guys, truly think about this. Why did you start in the first place? Ask yourself, why did you leave your family to come to Ireland? Because you're a hero. So take up your weapon, you drop your sword, you have to lift it up again. Build some muscle, be it grammar, be it, speaking right, you can do it. Remember when the plane was landing at the airport here? You were like, my God, what the hell am I doing? Even, the guy's going to ask me, what's your name? I'm going to go, my name is Jose. I forgot my name because I'm so psychologically, stressed, right? So, but you did it. So you had the valor, the word valor, which means facing problems, but taking the courage. We forget about our courage in the first place. We start swimming in the sea halfway through the ocean. I want to die. Then you can't go any further. You don't want to go back. You're stuck in the middle of the ocean. It's because first few days, first few crawling into the water was like, oh, so cool. But then the coolness goes, excitement is like love, isn't it? First couple of weeks, everybody lovey-dovey. Is like, yeah, my best partner. And after 2 months, they're going to kill each other. It's because the choices have been wrong, or because we forgot why we did it in the first place. We forget about our targets, and it shouldn't be. So keep thinking, and please start imagining yourself. Imagine, like a movie. Imagine yourself in your head that you're speaking English fluently, that you're writing and communicating the language, right, at proficient level. You might say, but it's impossible. No, it is possible. Keep thinking. Keep thinking positive, and keep visualizing your great dreams. Write down 3 new vocabularies, like I said earlier, guys, on a piece of paper and tag it onto the wall. Put it on the wall so that you can see them when you wake up the very next day. You know why? Because that's your mission. Use those 3 words in the next 24 hours. And you know, when you put them on a piece of paper on the wall, you will see them. And seeing them is remembering them. And remembering them should lead you to utilizing them whenever you need them. So do that every day. Why do I need to learn the language, right? Well, this is so many ideas that comes here again, that you need to know grammar. So read, study, and observe the sentence structure, right? Read along the documentaries and commentaries to get your pronunciation, speaking speed, isn't it? You are then learning a lot of vocabularies. Then by using newly learned vocabularies, phrases, and idioms, leave comments on blogs and social media platforms and pages. You remember we talked about it, so we are summing up now. Record yourself whilst you're trying to mimic your favorite native speaker. Keep at it until you're happy with your own voice. Join live debates, speak to everyone in English. 2 minutes before you sleep, tell yourself, what did I do today? And speak to yourself, so that's good for your speaking. Listen to the radio stations, to TV maybe, and online programs. Write down new vocabularies or expressions. Use 3 of them within the next 24 hours. And on a last note, guys, incorporate every new vocabulary you learn. Immediately turn that vocabulary into action or image in your head. Create a scenario. Like I said, valor, V-A-L-O-R. That's American, British, V-A-L-O-U-R, valor, which means courage in the face of danger. How can you translate it into Spanish? No, don't. Do not ever translate it, right? Learn it like a mother tongue. Immediately look at yourself. For example, imagine yourself, you're in front of the army, the enemy's army, and you're standing there. You're not afraid because you have the valor, and that's it. That picture stays with you for the eternity. But if you say valor in Spanish means whatever, then you're going to forget it in a short space of time. Remember that learning a second language is like learning a dance, guys, okay? It's like learning a new style of dance. You wouldn't go that far by comparing the new style with the one that you already know, right? Every dance has a different moves. So when you're speaking or when you're reading in English, right, try to use different facial muscles, all right? And move your tongue and even open your mouth maybe totally differently. But why? In order to get the sound right. You can't speak English the same way or with the same facial muscles you use in Spanish, because then it becomes she is here instead of she is here, right? Or instead of saying, this class sounds very, looks or feels very comfortable, you might say very comfortable. So that is because probably you're using the same muscles you used in Spanish. But of course, great for Spanish, but not good for English. So you've got to move your mouth and just make that sound right. And that means you have to actually move your mouth and tongue differently the way you do when you speak with your mother tongue, right? Use only English to English dictionary, okay? So stay away from any other types of dictionaries. Like don't use English as Spanish or Spanish English. Don't do it, because then your progress would become somewhat excruciatingly slow and painful. Above everything else, above every methodology, above every single tools we talk about, all right, all you need is only one thing, your courage. You don't have a courage, you don't have the valor, none of the other things would happen. You must believe that you can do it. Visualize, use all the techniques, and I promise you, you will get there perfectly. Thank you so much.